In recent years, there has been a gradual influx of games made from popular IPs like Star Wars and Marvel. Science fiction and superheroes have exploded in movies and TV shows and video games, and one character that has seen a lot of success is Batman. While the Batman Arkham series has done a great job of creating a beat-em-up game featuring the popular superhero, some developers have tried to think outside the box and go in different directions. This is the story of a game that looks like a Batman game, but has something entirely different going on under the mask.
Go, 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 go!
Don't leave me, I'm so hurt.
Keep talking, brave soul. I'm here to. Ah! What the? What the is this? Ah!
This is Gotham City Imposters. Gotham City Imposters is a multiplayer-only 6v6 first-person shooter that was developed by Monolith Productions, a company best known for games like Fear and Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. The company was acquired by Warner Bros. In 2004, which meant that they have a wide variety of well-known and popular IPs that they're allowed to work with. With a development team led by producer Nathan Edson, who was also the producer of Fear 2, Monolith set out to create a game that could compete against other multiplayer first-person shooters already on the market. What Monolith came up with was an FPS game that plays like Call of Duty and had a cartoon art style similar to that of Team Fortress 2. With the ability to customize your loadout, your weapons, your character, and even your voice lines, customization was a huge selling point for the game. Before the release of Gotham City Imposters, a brief storyline inspired by the game ran in the Batman Detective Comics from September to December of 2010. A year later, the game would first become available through a closed beta, with 4 game modes and 5 maps available. Overall, the game was met with fairly positive reactions, with the common sentiment being that despite sharing many similarities to Call of Duty, it provided enough new content that the game still felt fresh and fun to play. The game was praised for its versatile tools, which included things like grappling guns that allowed fast travel around the map, and trampolines which allowed players to bounce from level to level. Overall, initial reactions to the game suggested that it had a promising future. However, once the game officially released in February of 2012, it became clear that they would have an uphill battle to find success.
Let's tear this town to pieces.
The first hurdle to get over was that 2012 was an absolutely stacked year for games, and Gotham City Imposters faced a lot of competition in the FPS genre alone. Titles like Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, and Halo 4 all released in the same year. And these games, which already had established franchises behind them and a lot of money to put into them, made it difficult for any newcomers to stay afloat. On top of this, there were a lot of non-FPS titles released, like Diablo 3 and Mass Effect 3. With a market saturated by so many AAA titles, it's no surprise that Gotham City's player base began to decline steadily as the year went on. In the early 2010s, a time when video game review publications like IGN, GameSpot, and PC Gamer had a lot more sway over customer purchase choices, Gotham City Imposters was met with a series of negative reviews that described the title as a first-person shooter that doesn't take itself seriously. As Greg Miller of IGN said in his 2012 review, quote, "It's not all that deep. Go, shoot, win, over and over. If you're looking for a first-person shooter that doesn't take itself seriously, have at it, but don't expect a first-person shooter revolution." Along with this, the game faced many other issues early on, such as the game's online servers. On release, Gotham City Imposters hosted its online servers through a mix of Games for Windows Online and GameSpy. GameSpy was solid, and was a great backbone for any game to build their multiplayer off of. Games for Windows Online, however, was just plain awful. Matchmaking became an issue right off the bat, and just finding a match was sometimes impossible. Eventually, in September of 2012, the game moved away from Games for Windows Online as it became free to play on Steam. While this decision was to try and salvage some of the game's player base, the move had another problem. Players that had stuck with the title since the beginning lost all their progress and had to start all over again. Still, moving to Steam brought in a lot of new players, but maintaining that new player base ended up being a little bit too difficult.
So, how'd it go?
Not good, so.
Part of the issue was simply a lack of content in the game. While there was a free DLC early on that added some new weapons and 3 new maps, the total content pool was still pretty small, as Monolith shifted their attention to their big new project, Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. Seeing as they had a potential hit on their hands, most of their resources were redirected, and Gotham City Imposters was left in the dust. Pretty quickly, the game began to look dated, from the animations to the weapons to the gritty, realistic art style that doesn't hold up over time. On top of this, a lack of anti-cheat meant that the game had its fair share of hackers. While these issues contributed to the decline of the player base, the main issue was the concept of the game itself. While the game uses the Batman IP, the game doesn't feature the Batman or the Joker. Instead, as the game's title suggests, there are only imposters of these iconic characters. Which leads us to an important question. Why would someone play a game where they're pretending to be Batman when they can play a game where they're actually Batman? While the characters themselves felt and were imposters, the maps also felt like they didn't belong in Gotham City, and included bright, colorful maps set in daytime, to buildings that really don't fit the 1950s aesthetic of the original comics. Even with Arkham Asylum being added as a new map through the free DLC, they never quite got the art style right. Overall, the Batman IP felt underutilized, and the game had the vibe of a Call of Duty clone, which slapped Batman on top for a quick cash grab. As of August 2021, Monolith has quietly removed the game from the Steam store. While the game is no longer available on PC, it is still up in the Microsoft Store. So, if you've got an old Xbox 360 kicking around and want to give Gotham City Imposters a try, your best and only shot is on the console. If you've got an old Xbox 360 kicking around, you can still boot it up and see what the hype was all about. It might not be the game the Batman community deserves, but for some, it's the game they need. No, what's the quote? What are your thoughts on Gotham City Imposters? Was there something there, or was it just a Call of Duty clone with Batman and Joker painted on top? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This video is made possible thanks to our wonderful patrons. Massive thank you to everyone on this list, and shout out to Jason B, Brendan QB, David Foxy Iron, Lyra Mauve, Sierra Shampoo, Weeaboo Spartacus, and Yashichi for being platinum supporters. And an extra special shout out to Steven, Noodles, Marco, Andy, and Orioriol for being diamond supporters. We'd also like to extend an extra special shout out to Fool from the Art of Warfare for being our Grandmaster supporter. Your continued support is much appreciated. If you also want to support our channel and unlock perks, check out the Patreon link in the description below or join our Discord server. If you want to help us out in a different way, leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the bell to stay up to date is also appreciated. My name is Jonah, thanks for watching.